Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Dreams Portal podcast. And in this is part one of two. And Helen and I will talk about how to induce that state of lucid dreaming and what to expect. And in this first episode, we'll talk about baby steps and probably get to the intermediate level. And more important than anything, we'll emphasize that there's not a golden rule or a formula. Everybody's different, and it is okay to experiment until you find what works for you. Helen, welcome back.
Thank you. Welcome, welcome. Thank you to everyone who's joining us today. I'm excited about this.
Lucid dreaming, astral traveling, how people are curious, especially those who don't know that they actually do it because they can't remember, or those who seem to have lost the ability to enter into a state of lucid dreaming. And I would like to start, how do we walk somebody from the beginner stage? How do we start this experience of lucid dreaming or astral traveling?
Well, I would say, like, before you go to sleep, remind yourself that you are in control of your dreams. You have the power there to choose the direction you're going to go and how you're going to enter this dream. Are you going to be the hero of your dream, the main character? Or, you have that power. So to me, that should be the focus there is, as I dream tonight, I will remind myself I'm in control of where I go and what I do. Because have you ever woken up from a dream where you're running, 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 and all day long you're like, oh, my legs hurt. I feel so tired today. You were in the moment in that dream. Why is it some dreams make you feel exhausted and some dreams, it's just another dream? That's the power. You have that power in that dream. So it's kind of, if you can remember and connect to what it felt in the moment when you were in control, you were running, you were, so active and it was so vivid. Try to bring that energy back up. Try to recall on that. That's what I do. How about you?
Oh, that's excellent. Recall the energy. That's the most important thing, to find out the essence of the dream, the theme, and then the mood. But I like what you said at the beginning of, remember that you're in control, because I think one of the most important things that people use as a deterrence or as an excuse for not going into a lucid dreaming state is fear.
Hmm?
Because we have learned, we've been taught that that's something that we shouldn't be doing, or because there is the so-called nightmare, or there are in some dreams, for the people that suffer from PTSD, there is a reason for not being so excited about this experience. But
Yeah.
taking that aside, a medical condition or some kind of a disorder that's been diagnosed, the most important thing is there's nothing to fear and you are in control. So that's for fear. The second part that I tell people is set an intention.
Yes.
And recently, believe it or not, this was a learning experience to me. I run across a person who has mediumship, abilities of mediumship. And when I was talking to her about just tonight, set an intention, that was a foreign concept. She didn't understand what is it to set an intention. I believe because, again, culturally imposed on her, the way that she developed her mediumship was in a framework of religion, dogma, and you're here as an instrument, you're not in command. So from there to jump into, I'm going to set an intention, I'm going to ask for this experience, and the morning after, um, I'll do my checks and balances and see what I learned. In that moment, I realized that, oh my God, we have to go with the ABCs here, because setting an intention right there was such a challenge.
One
So,
thing I try to remind people, especially friends and colleagues who are more they lean more to their religious background.
mhm,
I try to remind them that to set an intention is so much like saying a prayer. You know, what is that old time bedtime prayer? Now I lay me down to sleep. I pray the Lord my soul to keep. You're setting that intention, right? You're
mhm,
asking something. It's the same thing with us setting intentions before we go to sleep. As far as our lucid dreaming, we're setting the request and the energy in motion of where we want to direct this, right?
yes,
And
yes,
it's very much the same, to just set the intention. And usually when I can explain it on a parallel like that, it helps to relieve some anxiety that we're
yes,
not asking you to do anything too far off the rails. We're just asking you to set your goal, basically. What is it that you want to achieve? And
yes.
if you start in baby steps and say, my first goal is to remember my dreams, because so many people don't remember. And that to me is such a foreign concept,
I
because
know.
from the time I was little bitty, I was just dreaming, and I could, remember so vividly what was happening. And then my husband tells me, I never remember my dreams. Excuse me? Exhausted. What do you dream about? I don't dream. What do you mean? He goes, well, I never remember my dreams. It's rare. And it's very rare for him to wake up and say, oh my gosh, I had the best dream. XYZ. And I was like, okay, well, that's really good. That's a good omen, because it's telling you, it's making you aware. And I'm glad that you knew the importance to pay attention to those details. So I've been trying to work with him to help him remember his dreams, to write them down. But set your intention before you go to sleep. And when you do wake up, try to write down any notes, anything that you can remember from, you know, even if it doesn't make sense at the moment, write it down, because throughout the day, bits and pieces will come back, you
That's what
know?
I told her. I'm glad that uh, you just introduced the second part, which is the morning after. Um, the other thing that I observed with this person, she went through a week of very frustrating mornings because she will tell me, well, I don't remember anything, or nothing happened, like your husband. Nothing happened. Then around midday, sometime after lunchtime, she will tell me that she was incredibly exhausted. When in appearance, she woke up feeling refreshed. Midday, a normal day, nothing extraordinary happening. I mean, you can get very tired, something really taxing or challenging happening
Mhm,
at work with family during the early hours of the day, but that was not her case. And she was feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. I was like, you know what? Take it easy. You probably didn't remember, but you did a lot of work last night.
mhm,
Just rest. Don't try to force anything, because you don't have to force anything. It's going to happen naturally. So let's start trying different things so you can remember. And she is stuck in the remembering part. I even offer our friend Abby in Salinas. She has a very simple method that she shares with many people: is take a glass of water,
mhm,
drink half of it when you go to sleep, and set the intention that the morning after, when you drink the rest of the water, you remember anything.
mhm,
Something very easy to do. It's nothing, it's not a prayer, it's not writing, it's not trying to listen to some music, just put it in the water. You can
mhm.
program water, you can charge
Yes,
water.
that's right.
That's a
You can charge it.
different, that's a conversation for another
Another
episode,
episode.
another topic, but easy to do, right?
Mhm.
You,
It is.
you agree with yourself?
Yeah, I
Agree
do.
with yourself that that's how it's going to work. That's going to be the trigger or the on switch, whatever you want to call it. I also think that for people that has a challenge setting the intention and then recalling the dream the next morning, is that they're not committing to it emotionally, feeling inside themselves that this is something that can be done, because we go
Yes.
to the fundamental that if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, you
So
can't
we
achieve it if you don't believe it.
So we go back to the setting your intention. Is this the methodology you're going to use? Are you going all the way in, or just staying, you're sitting on the fence and trying to see how this is going to work? So that's a message for some people out there, the fence sitters, that there are a lot of them, of course, that think that dreaming is something completely accidental or the result of trauma. So try to reframe that concept and work on the intention, because believe it or not, we set everything in motion with intention. If we don't believe that's how it happens, then there are other limiting beliefs that have to be addressed. I guess now, as I'm saying this, that was something that we needed to clarify in step one. What are your limiting beliefs about dreaming and being able to communicate even with your higher self? Do you have, first and foremost, the belief that you can do this in dream space? I guess that's, we should
Yeah.
rewrite step one into
Mhm.
that. Another thing
And
that I offer, and I don't know if right now we're talking at beginner's level or more if we're moving up in the scale, but I ask this person, have you ever had those dreams in which you are looking at yourself? You have a figure that is your same face and is looking at you, looking into your eyes. To me, that is very important. I have that kind of dreams.
oh wow.
Yes. And I told her, because if you do, you can take that as the face to face with your higher self.
Mhm.
And when you see yourself in that situation, ask. That is your moment to ask,
Yes.
and wait for the answer of your higher self. And then the next question will be, well, how do you know if it's your higher self? Well, then, aside from whatever issues might be there for you to challenge that, to me, your appearance is enhanced. And let me explain. You know it's yourself because it's your
Yes.
same
You
features, your
recognize
same
yourself.
eyes, but there's something about your glow and your energy that is different. It's not exactly point by point a mirror image. It's
Mhm.
really a better version, and the way it's communicated energetically is with a glowing, radiant appearance, but you still can recognize yourself in that image. I mean, that's my experience. I don't know if you have had clients or you have seen that with yourself.
Not that I can recall with me, but what I would, if someone were to come to me with that, and say, what would this mean? It's like you're having the opportunity to ask, what do you see? What can you improve upon? What do you need to know? If you have that opportunity to meet yourself and ask yourself 3 questions, what would you want to know? You are actually being given an opportunity that most people don't get. So embrace it. Don't fear. Don't go, oh my gosh, doppelganger, and run the other way. Embrace it. You don't have to have fear. Try to step away from that fear. As you were telling that story a few minutes ago about, setting intention, a thought came to me about how when you wake up in the morning and you're either going to be in a good mood or a bad mood. You pretty much make a choice, because you can start off on a bad day and still choose to have a good mood as you walk out the door. Well, yesterday I'm walking into a building and there's a gentleman and his daughter, and he looks defeated, and he's like, how do you say, God is trying me. God is just trying me. This isn't working for me. And as I walked past, I could feel his defeat. And I said, well, hey, I hope your day goes a lot better from here on, that things just improve. And I walk by, open the door and walk in, his face drops open. He goes, that door was not working. And I was like, what? He goes, I've tried 3 times to open that door. And I kept thinking, why is this door closed to me? He goes, you just walked up and opened it. I was like, well, I
Oh,
guess the universe heard that intention that your day goes better, because here you are, come on in. But it was so funny to see someone feeling like all doors were shut, it was never going to open, someone else to walk by and say, hey, I hope it goes better for you, and boom, you know, in that instant, things went better. And what they were asking, again, you know, I kind of feel our dreams are like that. Are we going to stop? Are we going to hit that roadblock and say, I don't know where to go from here? Or are we going to look around, find the opportunity to keep going forward and seeing what the journey is in this dream? What are we supposed to be gaining from this dream? What are we supposed to see in this dream? What can we do to change where the theme is going in the dream?
Well, change where the theme is going. Now we're getting into a more intermediate level
Yes.
because with the beginner or with the person like this gentleman that you run
Opening the door.
into, he's still in going and hitting the same wall over and over, like that reoccurring dream that
Exactly.
you cannot pull out of the loop until some help comes along the way and show him it was as easy as opening the door, or the door will open. You don't have to keep running into closed doors or closed opportunities. So
Mhm.
that's one. But to go from there to the moment that without apparent assistance, you change where the dream is going, we're getting now into awareness or
Mhm.
consciousness
Yeah.
that you are in command of the experience. Now, the challenge that I'm going to present for those listening to us, not so much for you and I or people close to us, is, do you believe you're in command of the experience? Because we're bouncing back to limiting beliefs.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe that you're in command of the experience, you're going to be waiting for somebody else to open the door.
Mhm.
But if you believe, then you're going to make lucid dreaming the tool for manifesting or exploring or progressing in your journey, if you believe you can command this.
Mhm. Well, I mean, it's kind of like if you're walking in the forest and you come upon a bear. Are you going to sit there and let the bear eat you? Or are you going to find a rock, stand on the rock, and make yourself big and growl at it so it thinks you're bigger than it and it goes away, right? Are you going to manipulate and take command of the situation? Or are you going to get, stay there and see what happens to you, you
Yeah.
know?
Or just say, why I'm in this forest to begin with? This is not
Mhm.
where I wanted to be tonight.
Yes.
But
I
that's
don't
more
think I want to
advanced.
go into the forest. I'm going to go this way instead.
Yeah, it's a not change this for the beach.
Mhm.
Just to give an
Yes.
example, a trivial
Mhm.
example. But so once we overcome the limiting beliefs that a dream is just a recap of the day, or a space to remind us of our problems or illnesses or whatever, then we start experimenting with recalling the dream. The next logical step to me will be try an easier way to get into a lucid dreaming state. And now we're talking about something more than just falling asleep and trying to remember the next morning. So I start with me. For me, it can be different things. It can be a certain frequency, a certain sound
Mhm.
that will put me in that state. It can be an intention, or sometimes it just happens out of practice. Maybe I'm in a cycle that 7, 8 nights in a row, every other night, I'm going to have a very intense experience in lucid dreaming and astral projection. But that will be triggered by something different. But yes, there is meditation, there is music, and there is the exercise of being comfortable with setting the intention and just going to sleep. So I'm going to offer those three ways to get into a state of lucid dreaming. What have you seen in with people close to you?
I have, you know, it's interesting because the first thing they always tell me is fatigue. They remember just being up all night long. They remember uh, being in their dream. They'll wake up, go back to sleep, and it picks up again from that point. And they'll tell me that's how I realize pay attention to this dream because it's picking up again, unlike usual dreams. And one of the funniest things I've heard so far is if I'm in a dream and I don't like where it's going, I change the channel.
Mhm.
That's their way of having control in their mind. I can change the channel, so I can change the direction my dream goes. And I thought about that's a very funny way to look at it, but this person swears by it. I just changed the channel. I
Oh,
was
just
like,
wake
wow,
up.
yeah, you can wake
Just
up
wake
from the
up.
dream.
I mean,
Mhm.
with practice, if you're in a dream that you don't like, you stop right there and you said, "No, I'm just gonna wake up.
Yeah, I don't want to do this. I'm done.
I don't want to do this," and you can do that too.
Mhm,
So that is very important. But how to get to that state of lucid dreaming? It can be music, certain frequencies. It can be an intention, or it can be a guided meditation specifically designed to put you in that state of lucid dreaming. Any of them is fine. I would recommend experimenting with those because, like we said at the beginning, there is not a set formula for this or a
mhm.
golden rule. Everybody's different. Everybody need to find a rhythm when it comes to this kind of experience.
Yeah.
And
I've heard of two different ways that people have said, to walk into your lucid dream state. One of them is to see yourself going down 100 steps, and you'll just see yourself going, and you set that intention almost when I arrive to the bottom step, I will be entering my dreams. The other one was going down the hall, and you're going to see several doors on both sides, and you're going to
mhm,
enter the door that begins you're going to pick the door that will lead to the dream. And that if you need a way to kind of sit there and just have, some of us really need that mental image, and
yes,
you can just picture yourself and just trusting your intuition as to which door you enter and
I
go in there.
I like what you said about the doors because that exercise is used by many of the different channelers or teachers that design meditations for this purpose. I have heard the door exercise, including Jamie Darrow in her uh, spiritual alchemy class
Mhm.
in the group that she coaches one on one. That is an exercise to get together with your star seed group. I remember the last exercise
Ooh.
and the last
Mhm.
class that we had in the spiritual alchemy. I believe it was last summer. The exercise was basically, and I think we're getting into more advanced if we're categorizing the methodologies, the purpose of this episode. But I just wanted to mention that she always starts with a meditation to activate your Merkaba.
Mhm.
And in that vehicle, you will travel to your star seed location, whatever is your star seed. And for those in the audience that are not familiar with the concept of star seeds, star family, and soul aligning, um, I will encourage you to check episode 7 from the first season, which in which Jamie Darrow talks about lucid dreaming, dream master, and astral traveler soul specialties. Because even when we have the ability to do that, there are souls in their imprints that have that job. They're cut out for that.
Mhm.
And not only they have the ability to do it, like we're discussing here, we craft dreams for other people. And she discusses there, what is this about? But going back to the meditation of the Merkaba, you will go to that place where your star seed origins is at, energetically speaking. And I'm not talking about an interstellar travel, but if that imagery works for you, by all means, try it. But the
Yes.
purpose of the doors is you will be placed in, let's say, energetically speaking, a lobby,
Mhm.
and you will choose a door number, and that's where you're going to meet with starseed guides. So that will be a little bit more advanced of a technique, but I wanted to say this because you mentioned images and doors, and a lot of people, like, we're talking about the way they learn. Some people are doers, some people are visual, some people, they have to listen, repeat something and listen to it. If you're visual, by all means, try that image, try that visualizing exercise. And again, when you are in that intermediate step of experimenting how to get in lucid dreaming, it will be a great benefit. If you don't know that yet, find out how you learn
Yeah.
in life. Like, we went to school, or and then to college and beyond. How did you study?
Were you a hands-on, I had to write it
Yes.
down? Were you, I had to hear the lecture over and over.
Over.
I had to read. I kind of feel like for those that have to, for some things I have to be hands-on.
Mhm.
That's where the water would come in handy, because it's a physical reminder when you touch it. That's how
Yes.
hand to brain. I could see that for people who are very hands-on. For others who are more auditory learners, listening to meditations, things like that. So definitely find your language that you learn with, and the tool, and
And
find your combination.
yes, yeah, combination. I think at the end of the day, for us humans in this physicality, it's a combination of many things, because depending on the subject and what you have to learn is going to be your preferred method of learning. The other thing is, for recalling the dream, something that has a very high impact in memory is the scent. It triggers memories.
Yes,
It
it evokes a
activates your
memory.
brain. So try that. Try it. Associate the experience to a certain essential oil, or something that will bring memories. And it
Mhm.
will be an exercise. Everything is an exercise. I want to say, or I want to remind everybody, don't get frustrated. Don't start on that week every morning saying, "Oh, another morning and nothing happened." No, just you are learning and experimenting. What is it that works for you? Don't think that all these mediums or channelers, they learn to channel overnight. It was a process of then getting to know their guides, and speak that language,
Trusting your
and even the
intuition.
words, the sounds, the images that those guides convey energetically. These channelers, it took them some time to take those images and put it into words to communicate to others. So be kind to yourself in your learning process,
Yes.
is, I guess, what I wanted to say. And don't take every morning as a failure. No, take it as every morning you're closer to where you need to be.
Mhm.
That's
Definitely. Definitely. It's all, one tool I also tell, people who say they don't remember their dreams, trust your intuition. I said, the first thing that comes in your mind, I said, don't overthink. Just the first word, it can be a word, a color, a number, write it down, because it's a clue to what it's going to trigger. I said, but you can't second guess. If they tell you blue cow, write down blue cow. You don't question it, because it stood for something. That's why you retained that little bit. And that was the first thing that you were able to recall. But you start training your body to trust the intuition and that moment of recall, and just write it down. They're going to be little clues and able to help you remember, and where your dreams were going, where you went.
yeah. That's awareness that this is happening, is a process, and you will get the clues. And through the day, you might recall parts of the dream, because
Something will
like
trigger a
time
memory.
capsules, or like devices that you program to be set off at a certain time, at a certain
Mhm.
moment, or trigger by a word, a conversation, an experience, that is part of the recalling. So just be patient. Do not ever stop practicing,
True.
because it's very easy to get frustrated, especially when you're in an emotional state that you feel that you have no one to go to, that you have no one to ask for guidance, when in reality, or the guidance should come through you. You can find teachers, you can find way showers, light workers, but at the end of the day, we all have to learn this on our own, and it's a journey, is a process, and probably the biggest lesson in this process, in this journey, is to be patient.
Can't rush it. Can't rush it, but celebrate it when it happens. But just
Celebrate it
don't
when it
rush it.
happened, and don't judge it. Like, I do that all the time. Like, I wake up some mornings and I was like, what the hell was that about?
Exactly. You're like, wait a
Or
minute.
like, how is this any of my business? And sometimes I forget about the Dream Master specialty, and the Dream Master is somehow, some way, you made the agreement or the contract with other souls to assist in dream space. And sometimes I get uh I don't know what's the right word to say. And I was like, why I have to be up all night doing this? I don't even know who these people are. How is this any of my business? Why I have to have all this information? Well, because that was the commitment I made
Mhm.
before
You
coming
find
into
yourself
this.
standing there, what am I doing here? Because you're looking around, you're trying to make sense of everything you're seeing, but you're very aware and like, what am I
Yeah.
doing here? Okay, what is my purpose? What do I need to do?
How is this any of my business? My policy of stay in your lane, mind your own business. And Jamie also explained in that episode that nothing happens without consent. You are in that dream or in that adventure or in that movie because that's an agreement between souls. You're not interfering in anybody's business. And that's another limiting belief. To me, that's a big challenge. Something that I have to learn, that there are agreements of higher order than what we can see here in 3D. And I still struggle with them. The same thing when you have all these visitors, like, who invited you here? Well, you did. I did. At some level, I did, because eh, eh, without getting into the belief of protection, because I personally do not believe in protection. The moment you start saying that you need to be protected, trust me, you need to. But when you get those visitors, there's something that you agree to do, or some help, or some kind of guidance, or sometimes because you come out in the background,
Yes.
and you get their attention,
Mm-hmm.
and nothing to be afraid of. Again, going back to the limiting belief, take that off your mind. There's nothing to be afraid of that is going to happen. Maybe it's a stop. It's a stop for these essence or
For
spirits
whatever reason, I was having
to
this
know.
conversation earlier.
Yeah,
This
a
very
milestone or a
conversation.
checkpoint for them to know that they're going in the right way.
Yeah. You're like a beacon of light, especially if you're a light worker. And that's what they're looking for, is that light energy so they can proceed through. For the past, we've lived in this home 7, 8 years, and it had always been very quiet. Well, since this spring, they're aware with the knocks. It's like, especially in my kitchen, is a very busy hotspot right
It's a
now.
hot spot.
And
I have
yeah,
one in the backyard.
you hear them moving glasses on the countertop, like drink glasses. You'll
Uh-huh.
hear them tapping it a couple of times, and it's like, I know there's nobody in there, and it's like, okay, they're just letting me know they're around. It's like, it's okay, they're not doing anything harmful. They're just there. So
Exactly. Again, it is a matter of limiting belief. If you think that these things are going to happen and it's something evil, or in a violation of your space, or something that you need to get rid of, well, then We're going back to step one or step zero of checking your limiting beliefs. Be aware. I'm not saying that you dramatically have to change them. Of course, it will be in your benefit to change them, but awareness goes a long way when it comes to knowing your limiting beliefs and have them in check.
Yes. Are those your beliefs, or are those what you were told to believe?
Exactly. So recapping it in this first episode of beginners and intermediate, let's start with the question of beliefs, the step of beliefs. It's a good exercise, and it happens on a day to day to understand what are our core beliefs, and from those core beliefs identify the limiting beliefs, because that is going to determine how you approach this experience. The second, we will say, is the intention that I was sharing with you, how for this person, the concept of intention is so difficult because everything is you are told, or you have to be worthy, or you have to be directed or allowed by some outside power, higher power, whatever power that is not within you. That's another thing that needs to be re-examined and shifted to approach this experience and understand that for everything you can set an intention. And even not setting an intention is a decision. It's a matter of choice.
Yes.
So you are setting the intention to create by default, not driving to what you really would like to drive. And from there, at the beginner level, will be the intention to remember. Let's start with the intention to remember, like you said. Whatever. If you dream with the show you were watching earlier, that's okay. You remember.
Mhm.
Start with the easy stuff. What can I remember from last night? And build up from there. And the next step will be working on your recalling.
How are you going to be are you going to use your meditation tools? Are you going to use your water to help you remember, this is where you'll take that step.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So I hope this conversation helps all of those in our audience that are still experimenting or have some struggles believing that dream space is a gift, it's a blessing, it's an easy tool that we don't have to ask anybody for permission or get any pointers from anybody to jump into that unless you really want to, and you start experimenting with that. Let us know of your questions, of what has been working for you, and how is this journey, what you learned. And again, keep trying.
Definitely don't stop trying, because that's part. You're getting that energy in motion. Don't stop trying.
Energy in motion. Thank you all for being with us in this episode. Be back with us for part two. We're going to start talking about the more advanced techniques and all the things you can do in lucid dreaming. Thank you, Helen, for being in this
Yeah.
conversation again. And until next time, sweet dreams.